Welcome to this discussion on social media influencers. Nowadays, they're abundant and many of them are making a lot of money. But what exactly are they?
Yes, that's right. Seem to be a lot of them about. And yeah, the basic idea here is it's someone who uses their knowledge of a particular topic to create content for one or more social media platforms. And I guess as their notoriety or fame grows, then so does the number of people following them on that platform. And then I guess where it starts to get interesting from a tax point of view is then brands will be interested in tapping into those audiences that the influencer has created.
So the benefit for the brand is obvious, but what about the influencers themselves?
Yeah, well, they can be rewarded for their efforts in a variety of ways. Obviously, they can be paid straight fees, they can get discounted product, or indeed be given product for free or services for free. Each of those has a potential tax consequence. And just to give you an idea of the kind of amounts involved, there are obviously no hard and fast rates for paid to these influencers. They can vary from platform to platform, but influencers with a follower of, say, up to about 1,000 would expect to earn anything from between £10 to £500 per post. Mega influencers, so those with typically more than 1 million followers, would expect to be paid more than £8,000 per post. Payments could also be contingent on the number of viewers that they attract.
Okay, so do influencers need to make a disclosure to HMRC? And if so, what?
I guess the answer is possibly yes. There's no specific guidance from HMRC on the tax affairs of influencers, so we have to sort of go back to basics on that. And the first question to ask is whether the influencer is actually trading. And to decide upon that, you have to use some fairly traditional tests for trading, which I think everyone knows is called the badges of trade. And I guess that there will be a number of influencers out there, maybe younger people, who are doing it more as a hobby than in an effort to earn compensation from it. And I guess HMRC would regard those as not being trading. But where you're getting free product and providing other free services, it's likely that those would be regarded as trading by HMRC. And I guess it's also important to note that when looking at any particular situation, to look at the employment status of the actual influencer.
So let's assume they are trading. What are the consequences?
Well, if the influencer has no other taxable income, then they can earn profits of up to £12,570 a year without triggering any tax or NIC. So that seems pretty straightforward, but there is a catch. If their profits are below that figure, i.e. the personal allowance, they may still need to register for self-assessment and declare their income and expenditure if the total revenue exceeds £1,000, that which is the trading allowance for the tax year. And this is a really important point that's sometimes overlooked because, especially if a return has been issued and has been ignored or forgotten by the influencer. So a return filed late can earn a penalty of at least £1,600, even if no tax is actually due, unless a reasonable excuse prevented compliance.
Having established that the activities constitute a trade which need a self-assessment return, the next challenge is to quantify the income.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And that will obviously be relatively easy when the income is a traditional cash payment. I guess it gets more tricky when it's free products or services that are being given. In most cases for those, the amount that needs to be declared as income is the market value of those products and services. And this will often be set out in the agreement between the influencer and the brand that they're working for. And again, it's therefore relatively easy to come up with the amount, particularly for a product. I guess a service may be a bit more thought has to go into that. There is one other key principle that people shouldn't lose sight of when looking at this, and that is the principle of receiving money or money's worth. So it's crucial to remember that if something cannot be converted into cash and it's not specifically provided that that amount is brought into account, then it is not a taxable trade receipt.
Can the influencers deduct any expenses incurred?
Yeah, so long as these are incurred wholly and exclusively for the purposes of the trade. So it'll obviously depend on the type of content that is being produced, but the kind of things that might be deductible would be things like products purchased to review, mileage expenses, internet website expenses, marketing, subscriptions, software, and even equipment, which you would get a deduction via the capital allowances route.
Okay, is there anything else to consider?
Well, this discussion has been heavily based again on an article that we carried in our e-magazine Tax Weekly recently, and I'd certainly recommend that people read that to get the full detail on the income tax position here. There is also a potential VAT position, but that would only kick in when there's a reasonably substantial amount of money going through the business. And there are some specific rules around barter transactions and set-offs which people would need to think about too.